SEO This Week. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another episode of SEO This Week. I know I've been gone for a while, so guess I'll have an explanation. All right. So, for those who don't know, in July of 2024, my wife Kimberly was diagnosed with glioblastoma. Glioblastoma is a stage 4 brain cancer. She was having, I guess the easiest way to describe it is stroke-like symptoms. She would be driving or just, normal day-to-day life things, and half of her side would, her right side would go completely numb, and she lose all control of it. So she went to urgent care, got a CT scan. They said everything was fine. That weekend, she had a seizure at home. Again, go to the ER this time, CT scan, everything is fine. A week later, she goes to our primary care provider, Sarah Dieterman. She's now since retired. And Sarah said that she thought it was weird. Like, out of the blue, someone 51 years old just starts having seizures. It's not right. So she sent Kim for an MRI. Kim did the MRI, and then a day later, the MRI technicians called her up and said, hey, we're going to give you a referral to see a neurosurgeon. And it was kind of where they left it, right? There was no sense of urgency or anything. We're just going to give you a referral to the neurosurgeon so they can look at your MRI results and kind of go from there. So we finally get the referral, and a month later we get into the neurosurgeon's office. Is Dr. Menendez up in Phoenix, and we were in his office no less than 5 minutes, and he sends her straight to the emergency room. We get to the emergency room. She gets another MRI. They do whatever they need to do and prepare and plan for her surgery. And then she had her first brain surgery. She was in the hospital for 7 days and essentially waiting for the pathology report to come back. And during that time, her and I obviously were both, researching the internet because, that's what you do. And she, both of us found glioblastoma. Like, this is the worst case scenario, and we hope it's not that. We hope that they caught it, whatever it is, soon enough. But that 7 days came, and we got told from the oncologist at the hospital in Phoenix that it was indeed glioblastoma. Glioblastoma is a stage 4 cancer. It is today essentially incurable. The survival rate after a year is 5 to 15%. It's incredibly bad. Like, if you had the scale of cancers that you want, this would be one that you don't want at all. So that's the information that we had. And then Kim started chemotherapy. She started radiation. And she was, as she was going through that, 2 more tumors started developing, but the chemotherapy was actually holding those 2 at bay. They weren't growing any bigger. They weren't, and the original tumor, it did move after the surgery. It moved to the center of her brain. It didn't really affect much, maybe a little bit of speech, or not speech, but movement. But for the most part, she was stable right up until just before she was supposed to get her last treatment of chemo, which was a year. So they do the way that the standard treatment plan is the radiation and then a month of essentially chemo once a week. And then she moved into a monthly regimen of chemo with no radiation. And she was finishing that 1 year monthly chemo with no radiation when one day she just couldn't talk right. she could speak, but it was like she just had developed this stutter all of a sudden, and was having a little bit of problems talking. So we went to right after that happened. Her 1 year MRI was scheduled to go, and so she had that MRI, and the results of that were it was it was defeating. Uh, a new tumor had formed, and it was 3 to 5 times bigger than the original tumor ever got. Um, that's how big this was, and it had formed in the course of 3 months because she was getting an MRI 3 months. So she had one MRI, it wasn't there. 3 months later, she has this big monster tumor, and that's what was causing her speech issues. That particular tumor actually developed in her frontal lobe. The first tumor, again, it screwed with her movements and stuff, but other than that, it didn't have any other related symptoms. But this new one was screwing with her speech, and it was in her frontal lobe. And I don't know what you guys know about the frontal lobe, but it actually controls pretty much everything about who you are, and like speech, understanding, ability to communicate, ability to talk, ability to swallow, ability to move. That is all in the frontal lobe. And that tumor came with a vengeance. So she had the MRI. We got the results. A week later, we were in with her neuro-oncologist in Phoenix. He saw it. He said, yeah, that's bad. We want to do surgery. He was going to send her home and then talk to surgeons about it. But then we explained to him how Dr. Menendez got her into the hospital and got the surgery done right away. And so he did the same thing. He admitted her to the ER. They found the surgeon, a top neurosurgeon in Phoenix. It's the Scottsdale Osborne Hospital in Phoenix, from Honor Health, and that surgeon and another one both tag team Kim's issues. Removed that tumor and implanted what are called gamma tiles. It's essentially radiation that they put in your brain at the time of surgery to directly treat the tumor site. There's no passing through, there's no machines, it's directly like on the tumor cells. And she was there for a couple days. After the surgery, she had lost more of her ability to speak. She had lost some more mobility, but she could still talk. She could still understand. It just wasn't formulating sentences. So kind of like me when I get mush mouth sometimes, but it was a little bit harder. But she came home and she was, she was walking around. She was talking, communicating. And a lot more. Sorry. But about so we had to wait 2 weeks before she can do any continuing treatment. Her 2 week appointment in Phoenix, we went up to see the doctor again, and actually it was a week later. We went up to see the doctor again. Hey, we got to wait another week, but I'm going to order you this new chemo type. That's we haven't used yet. It is a trial thing, but that's what we want to do. You have to wait another week anyway, and it's going to take some time. It's going to take about that long to get it. So the that week is over with. We get the new chemo. We're scheduled for a video or for another appointment in Phoenix, and at this point, Kim can't move at all. Like she was 100% dependent on me to get her up, to sit her up, etc. if you notice the time frame, this happened so fast. It just robbed her of everything, literally that fast. Um, and then so the doctor, she also had an Avastin treatment a couple days earlier. So we had this appointment, and Avastin is another chemo. It was the one that actually shrunk her first tumor down significantly. So they were giving it to her again, and hopefully it would do the same with this new tumor. Um, as a result of the Avastin and her lack of ability to move, she got a blood clot in her lungs and was having a hard time breathing. Um, so we were doing a video call because I told Dr. Azadi there's no way I could actually drive her to Phoenix. It's a 3 hour drive to Phoenix, 2.5 to 3 hours. It's 3 hours where his office is at. So we do the video call. We're talking. I tell him what's going on, and he says you need to take her to the ER. She's probably got a blood clot, and so I did. And she, at this point, she's only got one ability to communicate with me, and it's 1 for yes and 2 for no. She can't do anything. She can't type. Nothing like that. That's all we got. 1 for yes, 2 for no. And so they did a CT scan and indeed found another blood clot. They admitted her to the hospital right away, and they put her on blood thinners to treat the blood clot. And at that point, it's when the conversation had to be started about hospice. Honestly, before she was even in the hospital, seeing her condition and stuff, I was talking to, I called her mom. Her and I are not communicative very much at all, if any, and certainly not since Kim's passing. But I called her mom and just kind of get her advice on what to do, because it's a hard decision to make, to say, look, the fight has been fought and you're losing, and we need to just make you comfortable. And that's really what the decision about hospice care is really about. Um so when we get in the hospital, I have questions of the doctors, like, what is like the likelihood of her continuing this battle, right? And so um right around that time is when they gave me the CT scan report of her brain. They did another one, and the original tumor that she had, the one that the chemo was fighting off, had grown 2 centimeters, and the one that they removed had grown back 2 centimeters in that very short period of time. And it was clear to their advice was, hey, we could keep going, but she can't swallow, she can't drink, so we're gonna have to put a feeding tube in, and that's surgery and tube straight into her stomach. And her quality of life is going to be essentially non-existent. And they didn't expect any return of function. Let's say the chemo worked. It had done enough damage to her frontal lobe that it wasn't going to be able to return any function. But even then, with the doctors hearing Yuma saying that, I didn't want to give up on Kim, because I knew that Kim wouldn't give up on herself. She was expressing that she just wanted to come home while I was agonizing over this decision, but I wanted to give her the best chance, and just not 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 give up on her. Um, so I waited, and I waited and we got till I could talk to Dr. Azadi because we trusted him explicitly and Kim trusted him. So after he consulted with the doctors in Yuma, they looked at all the imagery, talked to the oncologist here in Yuma who saw Kim too. They came to the decision that hospice care is the best thing for her. I knew it. I knew it in my heart that that's what was coming, but I just wanted them to. I didn't want to make that decision uh, by myself. So, so I brought her. I brought her home. The hospice company is Hospice Care of Yuma, or yeah, Yuma Hospice. I think it's Hospice Care of Yuma is the proper name. But they did a great job from the moment the paperwork was signed. They had someone here to bring in a hospital bed for her because we have 2 stories up here in the house, and obviously she wasn't getting up and down the stairs. So they brought a hospital bed for her, and I set it up in the living room, and then she was home for her dad came right before she passed. My mom visited my niece, and her friends came to see her, and I think it was good for her. But at some point, I mean, almost to the end, she was like there, right? But 1 and 2, yes and no, didn't work anymore. We had to use blinks to get her to say yes and no. And then finally, she just became completely uncommunicative at all. And that really started like the day after her dad showed up, where that got like obviously that she was not computing and not understanding. And I say not there, which is the fact that she was home for hospice care as long as she was, where she couldn't eat and she couldn't drink, and she wasn't getting supplemental IVs because when you're on hospice, you don't get any of that. You're just made comfortable. So I was giving her morphine every 2 hours. That's hospice care. It's the horror of hospice care. And then on Labor Day, I had to get some work done, and but her nurse came to do or give her a bath, and the nurse said that she wasn't going to be, it wasn't going to be much longer because she was already showing signs that her oxygen levels were down immensely. I was actually tracking her blood pressure with my blood pressure cup here at the house, and it wouldn't even register it anymore. That's how far down her blood pressure had been. But she's in this condition for essentially a month, from the end of July all through, well, I'd say the beginning of August. Pretty much all of August, she's not eating, not drinking, and she's just in one stage or another of that pre and post hospice care. So she finally passed on September 1st. Her dad was sitting with her in the living room when she passed. And then I went in there and saw myself that she had gone. I called her friends and Alicia and Jennifer, and they both came over right away to sit with me. The hospice nurse came, and all three of them sat with me and her dad for a couple hours while we waited for the funeral home to come collect her body. Um, but I, but but that's when I had to say goodbye. So so it's hard to right now. We're in this big house. We have all this stuff that we collected over 32 years of marriage, and I'm surrounded by it all. Understanding that here, like physically here, I'm uh I'm alone. I'm alone. And she's not coming back. And it's taken me this long to be able to even communicate that stuff to other people. Um, and I'll freely admit that for the first few days there, I mean, if we didn't have the dogs and if we didn't have uh, if I didn't have the dogs here to, I'm responsible for them, and I didn't have that kind of reason, I wouldn't be making this video. I be honest with that. I tell people that I was in a really dark place for a while. I mean it, but now I'm. It took me a little bit to get through that, and I did. I am obviously you could you could tell that still have a way to go, but I do have to go. I gotta move forward. I have to continue my business. The one of the things that you learn when you're surrounded by loss and being in the army and seeing soldiers gone, and how that affects a unit, and then uh, losing Kim, it you'll be amazed that you'll get this outpouring of support in the beginning, but life goes on whether you're you're here or not. And so, the bills still come. In this case, the you have to handle that. You have to take care of some things for your spouse or your lost loved one that you never even fathomed you had to do, right? So taking care of estates and closing down credit cards and notifying the X, Y's, and Z's and paperwork on end. I mean, Kim was still working for the government when she passed and the government shut down. I can't submit the paperwork to the government. And even when I do submit the paperwork to the government in regards to her final pay and all that stuff worked out, it's going to take 3 to 6 months to get anything back from them. It's just, that's one of the many types of things. The bank account, right? Taking care of that, etc. So, all that, all that is, it's actually very stressful, but it came at a really good time because it didn't allow me to sit around and feel sorry for myself and etc. On top of that, my clients, they did that. They weren't aware, but they did that, and a couple of them after Kim's passing, they quit. It's like, oh, you're distracted, so we're leaving, and it's kind of sucks, and you're like, what a piece of shit you are, right? But at the end of the day, it's this is money they're investing in their business, and they need someone who's going to have their full attention on it. So couple clients stayed, couple clients came, and a couple clients left, and it's as I was saying, life goes on. So so with that, I am back full speed. I have to do it. I can't sit around anymore, or I gotta think about the future in regards to supporting myself and supporting the animals and maintaining the house now, etc. And so, with that, the doors to Digitaleer are back open, and by substance, the SEO this week is back. So that's my explanation. I know it was long. I appreciate you listening and giving me an opportunity to vent that. And with that, let's get into the news. Jeez. All right, this is a training. Siteball has been offering a lot of training lately. I will say that I like to click this thing on the Siteball site, and in my browser, for whatever reason, it's always broken. So you're gonna have to go directly to the URL. You can see it right here: technical SEO./AI/training, and it will. You can sign up. It's a webinar on November 12th. By I Pull the Rank, Zach Charhalis. I don't even know how to pronounce his name, but the Uphill Rank team is pretty cool. They're doing some interesting stuff, leveraging AI and AI tools and etc. to analyze content and pre-position stuff. So I want to check it out and recommend it for you in case you're looking to learn a little something. Next is Google and Bing are indexing Grokipedia. If you don't know, Grokipedia was released. It's kind of like a AI generated Wikipedia type website. And it's supposedly, I haven't tried it myself. I haven't even gone to look at it, but supposedly users can go in there and make edits, and those edits will stick fairly well, as I understand it. This article saying that Google and Bing are now indexing it. One of the points that was brought up in the article was that mass generated sites, Google has been, bitch slapping them, and I've said it myself. Like, if you can't link build to those pages, don't build mass generated sites, because Google's got a filter, and 90 days in, your site's gone, and then you're asking, why does Google hate AI content? Well, Google doesn't hate AI content. Google just hates your AI content and your 7 million pages or whatever the hell you made, because you don't have any backlinks. So that's kind of just how they're, with the flood of AI content. It makes 100% sense to me that if no one has linked to you and your internal linking is screwed up, ergo your content is just not worth having in the index. Just seems like a no-brainer, especially with all of the AI content that's vomiting over the internet. So with that being said, this is AI generated. Let's say 800,000 pages supposedly in Grokipedia right now. I expect that to probably grow. I like the idea behind it. Like, here's what all we know, right? And using AI to generate those, and then taking a page out of Wikipedia's book and allowing human editors to go there and edit that content and make changes, etc. I don't know about the citations or stuff. Again, like I said, I haven't really gone into Grokipedia myself yet. So, but I think there's an opportunity here. Now, in regards to the indexing, will that increase because it is AI generated, right? And there's 800,000 pages of it. That's only to be told. Because X is a big ass company, right? And so, in regards to everyone else, like you and me, right? They're a pretty big company. They would be an 800-pound gorilla when you're talking about company size. So, will Google index all of your Wikipedia, and could it turn into a place where you need to be for your businesses and your clients? So, the jury is still out, but it seems interesting at this point. I think it's pretty cool. Also, one thing you might notice over there is the HARPA extension. If you guys aren't using it, I recommend check it out. I signed up for the S2 plan. It's like $19 a month. $20 a month is plus tax, is with taxes. And you can summarize pages like this. Like if you're in a hurry and you just want to get through, that's one of the hundreds of uses that this thing has. And this is probably my favorite use case for it. The other thing is this related queries function that just kind of pops up. So if you're looking at a market and you want to write some news stories or some articles and stuff, go research what your competitors are writing about, find out what's popular, pop it into HARPA, get a summary, and then trigger this related queries thing, and you can probably compete with them a little bit better. Like you can ask it questions, right? Like if I was going to do a story about this, I probably wouldn't beat SE Roundtable in regards to that, but I can do a story like what are the impacts of AI generated content, or how does Grokipedia compare to traditional in terms of content. This one actually would be a good article for someone to do, right? Like comparing the two and comparing the editorial standards, etc. That would be something that I haven't seen anyone publish yet. So this, think about HARPA and use that as your tip of the day. All right, what is this one? This one is these guys here. They had a tool. It's called Lorelei, and it was essentially it attempted to say, hey, this is how many times you're being mentioned in AI, etc. It's like an AI rank tracker. There's a whole bunch of different ones now. Wakely is one. The folks at Index made that Wake or something like that. And there's a bunch of other ones that are attempting to say, look, this is how good you are inside of the AIs. My problem with all of them is that they're all prompt based. So they essentially, as I picture it, and this is probably not it, but as I picture it, is they have this simplified prompt like, tell me what you know about brand X and where would you cite it, right? Or it would take the term that you're looking for. Like if I was going to do Digitaleer, it would take Digitaleer and the term Phoenix SEO and something along the lines of, what do you know about Digitaleer and Phoenix SEO? And it'll cite it, right? Or it says, oh, we don't know nothing about it. And those are what those AI trackers are doing. And the only reason I come to this conclusion is because you and me could have the exact same prompt and put it into any one of these AI models and get the exact completely different information. So I would argue it's borderline impossible to have a legitimate, this is how you're doing in AI. So these people were actually running that a company that did that and pretty much came to the same conclusion that tracking that stuff is kind of worthless for you, because they found that everything that you would do for good SEO is how you get into the AI models and knowing whether or not you are being referred to in AI models as a source or as a brand, for example, has no impact on business decisions. And their customers were seeing that on their own, and they were just, they would sign up because it was a cool thing, and then they would just leave because there was nothing, so what? It was essentially what everyone came to the conclusion, including the people that ran the business. So they're shutting down that thing, and I think that's probably going to be what you see out of a lot of these tools. People are, charging more to have access to these AI, rank trackers, I guess is the easiest way to call it, and finding that they're essentially, it's just kind of worthless information that you can't do anything with. And that kind of carries me over to this one where they're, where is it? Did I close it? Oh my god. Nope, it's a different one. I must have closed it. But there's another article that I saw, essentially saying the exact same thing, that geo and all these other new acronyms that have essentially killed SEO are complete horse shit, for lack of a better word. That's not the word they used, but that's how it translated into my brain. And I've been saying that for quite some time. SEO, good SEO positions you into the cited sources of where these models are looking. And those sources could be Bing, it could be Google, it could be Yahoo, it could be DuckDuckGo, it could be Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, all where it could be Reddit. Wherever the AI models are looking, you should be mentioned in there. And that, SEO is doing more than just doing Google engine optimization. It is working for the search engines, and Google and Bing and Pinterest and Instagram and Facebook and et cetera, et cetera. Those are all little search engines that are designed essentially to position your content in front of people when they develop a problem, and then they have to look for a solution. So you're pre-positioning your brand and your articles or et cetera in these things, uh, in the anticipation that someone will eventually have that problem, which is kind of what having that preposition in those data sources that AI tools are using to collect their information in order to generate their answers for you, makes a lot of sense. So SEO isn't dead, in case you guys are wondering. It won't be dead, and it wasn't dead in 2025. It won't be dead in 2026. Who knows what 2030 has to offer? We'll see, but I'm pretty sure the engines will change, but the methodologies and the marketing will remain much the same as it has even since the internet turned on. Just change the platforms. That's all we did. All right, beyond the engine. This is oh yeah, here you go. This is the one I was looking for, and they're talking about how you're, AI, AEO, LLMO, AVO. Hell, I didn't even heard any of some of these. Thank goodness, are just kind of fake BS, and keywords to AI driven answers, core foundations on oncologies, etc., and expanding some of that stuff. So if you're kind of interested in the nerdy out concepts of why things work and stuff, this is actually a good post for you, and it's probably a good SEO test. This test would be along the lines, this is oncology, right? User search query, everything's moving along in this specified path, but it's kind of like the schema stuff, or we're building out tiers, or building out a topical map, or building out semantic HTML, all along the same lines here. That's what this article is going to get you through. So I would say read it and check it out. It is a good read. It goes pretty fast, and you can kind of get a better understanding of how SEO, which we're all striving to be better and good at or better at, kind of marries up with AI and how you can use the knowledge of how the AI works to drive your SEO campaigns a little bit better, to get yourself pre-positioned in those training sets in the event that someone has a problem that you have a solution for, and then AI will show up, will allow you to show up. So some of this is really, it's technical on page work. That's what all this is really going to be. And then you can apply some of this to, let's say you have PBNs or whatever, and you want to make better links for your tier, your money sites. You can apply some of this knowledge and make that go, especially if you have a small PBN and you got to squeeze more juice from the push out of there. Then you can apply this. You're not obviously not going to do this kind of madness at scale, but who knows? All right, and then finally, is Google's actually talking about digital PR, mainly getting backlinks from highly reputable sites in your market and how those can drive AI. In particular, the Google AI that is driving AI overviews and AI mode. And the short and simple of it is get links from websites that have traffic. A lot, the more traffic, the better, because those are the ones that Google's systems are looking at over priority than, like, say, Digitaleer, where it gets hardly any traffic, versus Search Engine Journal here that gets a lot of traffic, right? And so they're more likely to use Search Engine Journal as a cited source. So if I want to get a backlink and get more attention to Digitaleer, a good play for me would be to submit an article to Search Engine Journal and get some backlinks from Search Engine Journal to Digitaleer. And that's essentially the crust of what this Google spokesman is saying that you need to do. So if you're in travel niche, you need to get on high traffic travel blogs, do guest posts, or just get some backlinks from there and get cited, for example. A linked citation is going to be much better than an unlinked citation, because you remove all ambiguity of what the hell that citation is in regards to. Plus, it helps your SEO, so that is also a good thing. So this is kind of the way ahead. I don't think it's new. Well, I wasn't entirely always on top of the SEO space while we were dealing with what we were dealing with. I do understand that a lot of best type articles, the best digital marketing agency, best cotton socks or whatever, those types of articles were actually working really well to get into AI overviews. So it seems easily gamed, but the other element in there is you can't just put that up on a brand new website and think, oh, I'm going to get into AI overviews now because I have 10 different articles from 10 different brand new websites that have no traffic whatsoever, and that's going to put me in AI overviews. No, it doesn't work that way. You got to leverage those high traffic sites. One good one that a lot of people seem to be leveraging successfully is Reddit right now, especially for Google. If Google's going to favor Reddit, then go to town on it, right? And so a lot of people are doing that. But there are other, you can do press releases, etc., and just kind of expand on that some more, especially the press release companies that get you on the high traffic websites, high traffic news sites, not like those little local news stations with their API generated crap. I'm talking about like AP News and USA Today, etc., etc. As you can get into there, that's much better for you. It's a much better backlink, and it's much better for you in regards to AI. Getting pulled into that AI lovosphere. Mainly in the answers, though, because the AI mode is really pretty good at matching what's in the search results. So, as I said before, when that one is actually released, I think that's probably going to be where they go in regard to the presentation of the search results. But we'll see how that develops. That would all be dependent on how monetization for the PPC stuff. So they're not going to switch the search results if it's going to hurt monetization in regards to PPC. And AI mode, so far from what I could tell, completely ignores PPC. So until we start seeing PPC in AI mode more consistently, I wouldn't expect the change anytime soon. And finally, this one is an analysis by sector of the sites most cited by AI. So if you're looking for the sites most cited with the highest traffic, this is probably a good way to duplicate that in your market, and you can see how that all goes. In this case, they're looking specifically at landing pages versus blogs. Essentially, is how it kind of reads for the most part. And the landing pages are cited more than the blogs are in AI overviews and inside of ChatGPT. So think about those two distinctions. This short article, essentially the landing page is what, a 300 to 500 word article, depending on how you write it. Like if you're a Dan Kennedy long form type, then obviously it's going to be more. But if you're Joe Sugarman, product catalog type landing page is probably going to be 300 to 500 words versus a blog, and the landing pages are the ones that are showing up in there. I would probably argue that this would be dependent on the questions you're asking your model and the niche you're in. So in this case, it's travel. So look through this and then see if you can kind of figure out how they did it. I don't see the example prompt. Like they didn't go in there with a base prompt for a bunch of different travel questions and then get the results and say, all right, this is what we have. So that's going to be a little bit harder to duplicate this, but you should be able to kind of worm out some patterns to see. And since it's mostly questions, I don't think you probably be fine by doing asking it like just a quick research possibility is find 10 people also ask questions, ask the model, and then have it provide citations for its answer, and then track those citations and then look at variation types to see, one, is there common sites, two, what kind of pages is it, three, what's the word count. I'm not a big word count guy, as you guys know, but we're trying to differentiate long form articles versus short form, so that's where you're going to need that word count. Just look at that and see if you can create some patterns for your market, and if you do that, let me know how it turns out. All right, again, SEO This Week is back. I'm going to try to make this every Monday. Do the best I can. Inevitably, I'm going to miss a couple. It's just, but I want to get back on the publishing schedule and get back into the swing of things. I appreciate your patience with everything. For those of you that donated to Kim's GoFundMe when we needed you most, thank you very, very much. Thank everyone for their well wishes that passed them on, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Let's get to it. Let's get busy. Let's start doing some online marketing.